Yo, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Good to see you again, and we've got a couple more of those testing matches that we've been doing at locals, just trying out a bunch of different decks and, you know, seeing how some of the matchups feel. I'm going to be playing Reiju over here, and I will be using the OP06 build, and my man Trey over here is rocking Yamato. This was a list that I made, so it was kind of like a Sky Island heavy variant. But I do get lucky and I see the stage on my starting hand, so I'll go ahead and trash the 7-cost Ichiji and then picking up that 2-cost Yonji, I believe it is, to get the blocker out. So baby Yonj right there, and then the 7-cost Ichiji into trash. He's just going to pass on his turn 1, so I'm going to go up to 3 here. I know that in this matchup I have to be pretty weary since I only have a limited amount of blockers anyways. And I need to be able to have that blocker on the board to stop some of the Yamato double swings. I pick up Sora off of the OP06 search, but I'll go ahead and use the stage to get the 4-cost blocker into trash. And I believe we're just going to go ahead and pick up that blocker, using the 2-cost. But I'll go 5 to life. He does take this one, and it is a pretty solid trigger getting Satori out early on. So very, very good start for him as well. But a Dawn -1, I'll be able to get the blocker onto the field and then draw one for the leader effect. I've actually been toying around with an Animal Kingdom Pirates build on stream recently for Reiju because I really like the idea of the draw one for a -1. And yeah, so that's been pretty fun. But a 6k swing with Satori is going to get me down to 3 life. So now his leader effect is enabled, but unfortunately not going to be able to not going to be able to use the leader effect on anything this turn, but the following turns definitely going to be able to. But I'll counter out with Sora from the 6k swing, and Hiyori does set up a top life for him, so I know that more than likely this is just going to be like Kikunoju or maybe even an Onami to KO my blocker, something of the sorts. It's always going to be a pretty annoying card. There's like no way to work around that, but I do have some options in hand. Getting down the 4-cost and you know, being able to bring back that 7-cost card could actually be really nice this turn. I'm just going to go ahead and use that stage though to cycle out Pudding. I have Pudding in the list right now just because I thought that it would be nice if we were playing up against Sakazuki or a deck that maybe can just like endlessly draw cards. So I wanted to have some answer for that, but I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it. I am just going to play down the 4-cost Ichiji though, and then get that 7-cost onto the board. So now Satori's a 3k, very easy little 5k into that, and now 7 with Ichiji is going to get down, unfortunately, Kikunoju, so he did have that to set up into life. Pretty solid, all things considered. Hiyori is a card that I absolutely cannot stand in some of these matches, just because being able to set that up and the top of your life is fantastic. And yeah, he's just considering, you know, looking at my trash, seeing what I have for options, and then also, you know, considering what is the best, you know, plan of attack here. Could be just placing down a card, getting some of those rested. Yep, getting some of those rested cards is going to have an 8k swing into my 7-cost here. And this is something that I kind of messed up on right here, is I used a 2k counter because I'm just so used to it. And I was looking at my hand size. I actually ended up taking this life and then using the trigger for Jerma to draw one. It does put me in a pretty difficult spot if I wanted to use the 4-cost Reiju the next turn to be able to draw 2. And I actually think that I make that mistake here, is where I should have maybe just used 2... yeah, I should have just used like 2 1k counters to get out of the Ichiji to fill up my trash, get some options in there, but also keep my hand size low, just so that I can have, you know, some sort of answer. And I unfortunately didn't do that correctly. So yet again, one of my first times playing the list, and it's definitely going to take some time to figure out, you know, a couple of those unique instances. But I'll swing 8 into Kiku, and that is going to get the card off the board, but does get a life in Yamato's range right there. And now a 7k into life is going to be taken. Luckily, no trigger this time. And I'll go ahead and use Reiju. And I realize as I'm doing this, I have 6 cards in hand, but I still get to draw one for leader effect. Bit of a bummer, but you know, that's my own misplay from the previous turn. And a little bit of a learning moment there. I just had to think like, hey, if I'm taking the double attack, I'm drawing 2, and then I gotta draw 1 for turn. So that puts me up 1 more card than I was anticipating. And yeah, that's just where, you know, mistakes are learned from. And now he's got some options here, like a 6k swing with leader is more than likely going to happen, just because with 7 he's got Hody Jones as well as potentially a Nell in this list. But I'll go ahead and drop another 2k counter yet again. Should have just dropped 2 1ks. So I didn't learn from the first time about the hand size. I think it's just kind of reflex that I was trying to save, you know, as many cards in hand. But this is going to be a 6 into the blocker Yonji, and I will give him 2 1ks finally this time to get out of it, but a 7k to life I do just go ahead and take. But this puts me on a bit of like a time crunch, because now if he draws Hody Jones, it's just game over. It looks like I'm thinking about the trigger, but I guess we just drew into another Jerma 6/6 event. And I know for sure I'm not going to be able to get Enel off the board this turn. I don't believe, well, I could be wrong, but I don't believe we have another 4-cost Ichiji in hand, but could potentially. I do end up cycling out the stage though, just taking a look at my trash, seeing what I have in there for options. And it looks as though I don't really have much of being able to bring some cards out. And I'll just pick up the blocker Yonji, the little kid. So I got to get another 4-cost if I really want to, you know, have something with that, but I don't believe I do. Yeah, but I'm just going to go 2 for Reiju, and now I can cycle out the other card, and I am at 5 in hand, so I do get to draw 2, and then for leader effect, draw 1. So plenty of cards. Really nice to potentially defend ourselves this following turn, but yet again, if he just has, you know, Hody Jones, it's over. It's a wrap. So that'll be tough to deal with. And it's also a bit of an issue because if I attack into his life, I bring him down to one life, and he's in range of being able to use Amaru. And I'm not sure if that was going through my head at this moment, but yeah, no, he's got 5 cards in hand, so there's no way I'm gonna be able to go for game this turn. But I'll just go 7 into the Nekomamushi. I believe he's just gonna have to let this one go. Yep. And now I have 4 Dawn remaining. Realistically, I think what's going through my head is like, okay, if I attack into a Nell, he just trashes a life, and then he's got Amaru, and I just lose. Or I might just have to pass, and like I think I end up passing right here if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I'm thinking of, I really am just like considering attaching the 4 to lead, but I know that I can't afford to let him get to Amaru here. So I'll just go ahead and pass. And that was a good choice on my part, but at the same time, like, there are ways that he can just take the life anyways. So I just know I'm playing around him having Hody Jones. If he has Hody, it's over. If he doesn't, we have a shot. Yeah, that's about it. If he does have a Hiyori, though, Hiyori would be really nice to maybe set up the top life and then be able to get 2 of the rested Dawn onto Enel. But, he's got the Hody Jones. Yep, Hody Jones allows him to take the life, and then he can use Amaru for the remaining 2, attached to, and now I got an 8k swing, a 10k swing, and another 8k coming at me. I get out of this one with 4 1ks, I get out of that with 2 2ks, and then he's going to take the game on the first match right there. Yeah, I knew that I basically had to play around Hody Jones. It was pretty tough, but I was looking for another 4-cost Ichiji there in that match. Felt like I made a couple of mistakes in that, but yet again, first time playing Reiju over the board. Very fun deck, and it's taken me a little bit of time of, you know, just playing the deck out to really get a feel for, am I playing this correctly or am I not? But I do get the stage on turn 1 for the second match. I go ahead and get, oh my gosh, I'm forgetting the name of it. I believe it's Niji into trash, the 5 cost. And then I'll go another 1 Dawn for the Searcher event. And I end up picking up a, I believe, another like 7 cost or something like that. But I could also shoot for some counter power. It really just kind of depends what I'm thinking in this moment. And I will just go ahead and get the 4 cost right now because, unfortunately, bottom decking 7 is not, you know, the best feeling in the world, but it's also not the worst. So it looks as though he's just going to attach 3, swing 8, and 8 to life. I am just going to take. It sucks to be able to not to be able to defend that, but this deck does run a very limited amount of the 2K counters, and I end up finding the 4 cost blocker here though. Very happy about that. Just debating whether I want to go Dawn minus for the Yonji and play it, or if I just want to play the card outright for 4 Dawn. And I do choose to swing, and he'll take that, and now I can get the card out pretty much for free. Unfortunately, having to do the Dawn -1, but all things considered, not too shabby. And I actually go another one for... and actually, oh, I forgot about this. So we were looking at the leader effect. I was like, do I have to take it on the first Dawn minus effect, or do I have to, or can I choose when I take it? And I actually do end up using Reiju here to draw 2, and then I'll pass it back over. Because what I was thinking is if I didn't have to draw for Yonji right there, I could actually have done it just a little bit differently, where I didn't have to play the 4 cost from hand. I could have played it from trash, but yeah, ends up kind of working out just the same. But I'll counter out of the 6K swing, and then he just gets Nekomamushi onto the board. I know I'd love to get this card out of here, but I think our only answer for that is going to be Niji. I'm not entirely sure if that's what our plan ends up being, but I'll go ahead and swing 5 here. He's going to counter out with Gidatsu, and I think I might be searching for Niji, but no, we actually just take a 2K counter. 2K counter is nice. I might just have the necessary card in hand anyways, so I'm going to swing 6. If he does take and he gets like a Kikunoju, then that's what I would have ended up bouncing back. But instead, I'll just get out the 5 cost and bounce back the Nekomamushi. Stops a little bit of the aggression, but he is at the 7 Dawn turn, so getting down Enel and or potentially Hody Jones is a bit of a threat here. Hody isn't the worst thing in the world, though, because we've already got him down to 2 life, so I still have, you know, plenty of attackers on the board afterwards. Now, Hiyori is just going to place a card into the life area, and now we have, I believe he might be thinking about using Momo this turn. So a 5K swing, I'll just go ahead and block, and he is going to use Momo to bounce back that Hiyori to life. I know that I don't really have a solution to Momo here. I think Momo is just going to kind of stay on the board for a little bit, but I'm cycling out the 7 cost and drawing into a new Reiju. I know that the reflection is a little menacing towards the bottom of each of our boards, but yeah, sometimes when I'm recording, the light just hits differently. I've got plenty of cards in hand. I have a lot of options. Just attacking into life is going to feel pretty safe. I was hoping that he would rest Momo for these 5K swings, and he does. So very pleased with that. It allows me to get Ichiji down onto the board, and now I can reduce Momo's power, and I can pretty much swing very freely into this. So a 6K swing into it. he is going to counter out with the 0 cost event. And now I'm going to go 8 into the 4. He is just going to let it go. I'm considering whether I just die this turn or not, and whether I want to swing with the blocker, and I decide to just swing with it. I want to get him within KO range. I know that that's a big priority of mine, and the card would have been irrelevant active if he did draw into the Hody Jones anyways, so figured I'd at least get some value out of it, as well as since I'm lower on Dawn than he is, it's a 7k, or excuse me, 6k swing. So forces a 2k counter, or he takes the life. He does use Hiyori here though to take the bottom life and then set up the top right here. So now he should have information on what his remaining 2 life are, and he will just go 5 into the Reiju. Countering out of this is totally fine. We have plenty of 1k counters in hand. I also want to mitigate my hand size for sure. I'm just taking a look at the trash though, just trying to make sure, like, hey, what cards do I have as options for the next turn. I'll go ahead and use Reiju. But a 7 cost Enel, very annoying, because now we have a 9k swing probably coming at, I would say, either my blocker or potentially the 7 cost. He could go life, but it doesn't really give him any value. Leaving me at 2 is really nice for Yamato. So this is just going to be 9k, let's see, into the blocker. Yeah, and unfortunately, I am just going to let the blocker die, but I believe that I have another Baby Yonji, if I'm not mistaken. So we might just be able to get that blocker right back into the field. It looks as though we have plenty of 2k counters though, which is really nice. I do need to try and either remove the Enel or potentially just go for game this turn. I can block her up and maybe get some cards out of hand, but I don't think any of it's really that, I don't know, don't think it's really that different in this situation, because we've drawn like a third 2k off of our Germa search, and I am just going to use the Niji and get out the 7 cost card here. Oh, actually, I think looks like we're changing that up. I am changing it up. I'm just deciding on whether I want to use that effect or not. Actually, if I remember correctly, I did not have a 7 cost in trash. I thought that I did, but it was on the board, and I was just mistaken myself. So, yeah, now I don't. Now I'm like, oh man, I really don't have a lot of solutions. But a 0 cost event is going to protect Enel from the 9k swing. He is just going to let Enel go and not trash a life here. I thought that was kind of interesting. I don't know, personally I thought, like, if he has Amaru, like, he for sure just kind of has it, but Onami is going to KO my 5 cost right there. I believe he was thinking of me placing down the blocker again and then using Onami to potentially KO the blocker, but 6k swing is coming at him. He's just deciding whether he wants to take. I believe he knows what this trigger is anyways, and it doesn't look like it was effective for him. Had it been like a Nekomamushi or potentially like a Kikanoju, he might have been looking all right, but at the same time, I actually have a ton of counter in hand. I have like I think at least 3 2Ks, potentially 4 2K counters in hand right now, and and the rest is just filled with, 1K counters as well. So he's got some options, but none of them are great, and I think he's just like, all right, I know that I'm dead next turn. Like, you can play the 5 cost Momo here to heal, but I guess arguably that's probably your best chance if you're trying to play a little more defensively. But going for game while I have that many cards in hand is going to be very difficult. He will use Onami onto Yamato here, and so now with 8 Dawn to work with, he knows that he can attach 2 to Hiyori. So that's a free 2K, but he really just needed like another swing to get, a fairly decent attack through this turn. Yeah, is going to rest 4. Oof. For 2 Amarus. Is going to buff. I believe he's buffing Yamato with 1 and Hiyori with 1, if I'm not mistaken. So Yamato is at an 8k and Hiyori's at a 3k right now. I mean, honestly, it looks as though this is just kind of like a last-ditch effort because he didn't really have many options in hand. So, yeah, it's just kind of do or die time right here. And now Hiyori does get the +2 free Dawn from leader effect. But he's just going to swing 8 into Life Banish. I decided to just let it go because it's kind of irrelevant. And I reminded him that he gets to attach 2 Dawn here as well. So this was a 9k, and I get out of it, but I had plenty of counter left. So I end up taking game 2. All in all, I think the Reiju list is super fun. It's really, I don't know, just like a pretty like fun, challenging deck to, you know, get the right cards into the trash at the right times, using them to answer some of your opponent's, you know, plays and everything. I think it's really cool. I love it overall. I've really been enjoying experimenting with a different deck list as well. But I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts, what you guys think, and I'll catch y'all in the next one, all right? Peace.